Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. I've had a number of you reach out and ask me to keep going in a long-expected party in this series, so that's what we're going to do. Starting here in week 42, as we also celebrate a very unexpected party, the TTT's 250th episode today. Now, last time we listened in to a chat with Bilbo and Gandalf as the Hobbit was preparing to leave, but it was all friendly so far. Today, things get a bit more tense. And we'll pick up where we left off last time, but I'll reread the last few lines since we took a couple of weeks off. I might find somewhere where I can finish my book. I have thought of a nice ending for it. And he lived happily ever after to the end of his days. Gandalf laughed. I hope you will, but nobody will read the book, however it ends. Oh, they may, in years to come. Frodo has read some already. As far as it has gone. You'll keep an eye on Frodo, won't you? Yes, I will. 2 eyes, as often as I can spare them. He would come with me, of course, if I asked him. In fact, he offered to once, just before the party, but he does not really want to yet. I want to see the wild country again before I die, and the mountains. But he is still in love with the Shire, with woods and fields and little rivers. He ought to be comfortable here. I am leaving everything to him, of course, except a few oddments. I hope he will be happy when he gets used to being on his own. It's time he was his own master now. Everything, said Gandalf. The ring as well. You agreed to that, you remember. Well, yes, I suppose so, stammered Bilbo. Where is it? In an envelope, if you must know, said Bilbo impatiently. There, on the mantelpiece. Well, no, here it is in my pocket. He hesitated. Isn't that odd now? He said softly to himself. Yet, after all, why not? Why shouldn't it stay there? Gandalf looked again very hard at Bilbo, and there was a gleam in his eyes. I think, Bilbo, he said quietly, I should leave it behind. Don't you want to? Well, yes. And no. Now it comes to it, I don't like parting with it at all, I may say, and I don't really see why I should. Why do you want me to? He asked, and a curious change came over his voice. It was sharp with suspicion and annoyance. You're always badgering me about my ring, but you've never bothered me about the other things I got on my journey. No, but I had to badger you, said Gandalf. I wanted the truth. It was important. Magic rings are, well, magical, and they are rare and curious. I was professionally interested in your ring, you may say, and I still am. I should like to know what it is if you go wandering again. Also, I think you have had it quite long enough. You won't need it any more, Bilbo, unless I am quite mistaken. Bilbo flushed, and there was an angry light in his eyes. His kindly face grew hard. Why not? He cried. And what business is it of yours anyway to know what I do with my own things? It is my own. I found it. It came to me. Yes, yes, said Gandalf. But there is no need to get angry. If I am, it is your fault, said Bilbo. It is mine, I tell you. My own. My precious. Yes, my precious. The wizard's face remained grave and attentive, and only a flicker in his deep eyes showed that he was startled and indeed alarmed. It has been called that before, he said, but not by you. But I say it now, and why not? Even if Gollum said the same once. It's not his now, but mine, and I shall keep it, I say. Gandalf stood up. He spoke sternly. You will be a fool if you do, Bilbo, he said. You make that clearer with every word you say. It has got far too much hold on you. Let it go, and then you can go yourself and be free. I'll do as I choose and go as I please, said Bilbo obstinately. Now, my dear hobbit, said Gandalf. All your long life we have been friends, and you owe me something. Come, do as you promised. Give it up. Well, if you want my ring yourself, say so, cried Bilbo, but you won't get it. I won't give my precious away, I tell you. His hand strayed to the hilt of his small sword. Gandalf's eyes flashed. "It will be my turn to get angry soon," he said. "If you say that again, I shall. Then you will see Gandalf the Grey uncloaked." He took a step towards the hobbit, and he seemed to grow tall and menacing. His shadow filled the little room. Bilbo backed away to the wall, breathing hard, his hand clutching at his pocket. They stood for a while facing one another, and the air of the room tingled. Gandalf's eyes remained bent on the hobbit. Slowly his hands relaxed, and he began to tremble. "I don't know what has come over you, Gandalf," he said. "You've never been like this before. What is it all about? It is mine, isn't it? I found it, and Gollum would have killed me if I hadn't kept it. I'm not a thief, whatever he said." "I've never called you one," Gandalf answered. "And I'm not one either. I'm not trying to rob you, but to help you. I wish you would trust me, as you used." He turned away, and the shadow passed. He seemed to dwindle again to an old gray man, bent and troubled. Now, today's reading was slightly longer than usual, but I wanted to get through the hardest part of this conversation in one session. It's here that we really see the ring's grasp on Bilbo. It's not just making him feel a bit stretched. Instead, it's holding on to him tightly. And we see how difficult it is for Bilbo to think clearly while under its influence. From calling it his precious, actually capitalized in the text, to his hand straying to the hilt of his sword, this is not a Bilbo that we or Gandalf are used to seeing. This is a foreshadowing in a way of how the ring will impact Frodo as well. Think ahead to the Tower of Cirith Ungol or the slopes of Mount Doom when Sam offers to carry the ring for him. Frodo responds with near violence. But Gandalf uses just enough of his power, or maybe just his natural presence and persuasion, and it helps at the end to bring Bilbo out of his ring-induced stupor and back to his usual self, and we'll see where that goes next week. For now, though, folks, thank you for joining me for this week's Third Age Thursday. We'll continue until we finish this chapter, which should take another 4 weeks after this, so be sure to keep tuning in. Check out patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show, join the Content Council, get bonus content, and more. And then join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times to see what we're doing on Fridays this series. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Follow or subscribe in your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.